there was a Fred Meyer grocery store in Portland, Oregon. The power went out this week, and then they decided to throw out thousands of items of food because they couldn't keep them cold anymore, including meats, packaged meats, but also including cheese, pickles, yogurt, things that are cultured and cured and can last a while. Juice. There's a ton of pictures in this Oregon Live story. You can see it right there. So a bunch of local people, hungry people who needed food, activists who do mutual aid work, they showed up immediately to collect this food from the dumpster. And what happened was the store called the cops to keep the people from taking the food from the dumpster, quote, out of an abundance of caution, right? And now of course, the store is afraid that they could get sued if people get sick from the food, but there are a lot of other reasons why this kind of thing happens. So there were a lot of people on the scene. And of course, once the cops were there, they started doing their cop thing, threatening to arrest journalists for filming them and taking pictures of what was going on. And these are local activists. These are people who do mutual aid, who know what the fuck they're doing and aren't going to make people sick. And in fact, according to them, there's a thing called the Bill Emerson Good Samaritan Food Act, which is a federal law passed in 1996, which actually protects the store from the liability that they're claiming. So these people were ultimately kept from taking the food. What they wanted to do with it was bring it to local warming centers that were under-resourced and running out of food because people there were hungry and people there were cold. So I think this just is one more galling example of the purpose that the police serve under capitalism, right? Which is not to keep people safe. It's to keep people from taking food that's going to go bad because the logic of capitalism says, hey, food, shelter, these things that humans created because we need them to live, guess what? They're commodities and you cannot have them. You cannot access them unless you first have money to buy them with. Otherwise, they're just going to go in the trash while people go hungry. And I feel like anytime we see an example like this or an example with shelter as well, right? One of the most basic things that people created because we needed to live. What happens when these things are commodified and you have giant buildings sitting empty where rich people park their capital in them while people sleep on the streets at night? That's just one more example of how this system is fucked. And that's what I got to say about that.
America is the land of the dumpster cops. So
what are the legalities of that though? That's what I was wondering when I saw this, because I was under I guess if it's on their property, that's the issue. But I was under the belief that you throw something away outside and it is no longer in your possession. It is free for anyone to take. That's why the cops, when they're looking to get evidence, they wait for the suspect to throw out their trash and then they're allowed to legally go through it and take whatever they need for evidence or whatever. I was under the assumption that, if you throw something away, it's up for grabs.
Well, the cops are allowed to do it, but hungry people, that's a no-no.
No, it's unreal. And it just goes to show, like, the abject cruelty of, the banality of cruelty, right? Where it's just like this store owner wants control of the food that it throws away as well as the food that it serves. Right? Because, like, for no real reason, as opposed, like, except to exert control. Like, there's no actually legitimate reason. And they're couching it in, oh, we were concerned and we were we didn't, know what the bacteria in the food would be. And we're worried about the health and safety of the people eating it. It's just bullshit. It's all about exerting some sort of control on the system, and maybe it's like, I don't want people rummaging in my dumpster, right? It's just it's a little unseemly, and that's as deep as it goes in order to just kind of infringe upon everybody's humanity. It's sick.
Right.
It's the same with fast fashion. They destroy billions of pounds of clothing every year rather than donate it, because I don't know, there was a story that came out a while back about H&M. That's just the logic of the market. If no one's buying it, no one can have it.
The funny thing there is, it's like it really is even stupid on their level. Like it makes no sense for them as a company to do that in terms of, look at the bad press they received. Imagine the goodwill they would have received from the public if they could even have went out of their way. I know it's more gross to do this, if that's because this is obviously the purpose, but they could have, I'm sure the people who would have got the food wouldn't have given a shit about it either way, as long as they got the food. They could have even gone out of their way to make a big deal and contact the press and say, hey, come down, we're going to give away this food before it goes bad that we know we're not going to sell, and make sure hungry families get it. And they could have got tons of good press. People would have been talking online about how great the supermarket company is. You know, it doesn't make any sense even from their level. Like, it's just abject cruelty for the purpose of being cruel. Like, there's really no point to it. It even hurts themselves. I just don't get it.
Yep. Well, that's why we got to take it all back.
Yeah, that's right. You know, that bummed me out. Just like, I don't know. Just nope. Humanity. You know, you try to see the good in things, and or at least I do.
Well, speaking of trash, do you guys want to get to Ted Cruz?
That is an excellent transition.
Really,
thank you.
Yes.
All right, so I guess you guys just talked about it briefly earlier on the show, but let's take it from the top, because there's a little bit of new information. So, in the midst of this historic blackout in Texas, where their systems apparently have failed to the point where many millions of people are still. How many days has it been since this big storm 2 that hit Texas? It's been
multiple days, and there's still millions of people without power, and clean water is not accessible to people. 60% of the state relies on electric in order to heat their homes, and now the state is saying, well, you need to heat your water to drink it. Well, fuck, because I don't have electricity. So people have a lot of basic necessities right now, and at least 35 people have died, according to the New York Times.
Jeez. I mean, I saw a video this morning of people literally huddled around a what are those things called that come out of the ground? A spigot? Is that what
we covered that on the first hour? Yeah. They are unable to access clean water except to go outside to get it. It's disturbing.